Did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Do you not know all the answers to the questions about reality? Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden. As a part of a family and explorers of consciousness. I'm the void.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Well, broadcasting from New York, upstate near the Great Lakes, it's Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're live on KTOK Digital Broadcasting from the Fringe.fm. Fringe.fm. That's the new domain name. It's almost Christmas. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow, but I will tell you this. Christmas morning, I'm going to do a music show on our sister music station, 562 Live, because I'm going to be by myself during Christmas anyway, so I might as well play on the radio, right? So if you're on the West Coast on Christmas Day, 7 p.m., I'm going to start the show. East Coast will be 10 p.m. Anyways, just letting you know. If this is your first time listening to this broadcast, welcome. I'm your host, Joe Roop. And if you've never listened to a show about going into the void, it's pretty much like everything else, that you hear on a lot of paranormal and spiritual shows, except we blend it all and then we get a little bit edgier. We're not afraid to talk about magic, astral travel, even black magic. We're not afraid to talk about any of it, all the way from the good to the bad. No judgment here. Although it's more about the human potential, and it's pretty eclectic sometimes. And we get a little silly, too, sometimes. Unscreened calls, it's a live broadcast. There's no way I know what's coming. So thank you for joining us if it's your first time. If you want to support the show, you can go to lightingthevoid.com, click on the donate banner, or join the Patreon, or grab some swag from our shop. All right? So real quick, might as well jump into this while we got time. I don't have any other announcements. Go check out the new website, though. For the love of God, go check out the new website. And I know Amanda put a broadcast or like an announcement in the Discord if you want to write for the Fringe FM. We're looking for writers, but we're not looking for there's there's going to be some guidelines, but we need to get that blog kicking. And some people have already submitted the stuff too, so we're going to go through this stuff and check it out. But you can do that. You just hit us up in Discord. You can go to the Discord by going to thefringe.fm /chat room too. The call-in number for tonight is 1-800-588 0335 if you want to call in. And our guest tonight is going to be coming on shortly, Nisha Manek, MD, and we're going to be talking about bridging science and spirit. Like there are limits. Are there limits? That's the big question to the power of human intention. And what are we capable of? But before we get into that, we've got our main man, Rohan's here with us. What's up, Rohan? What's going on, brother?
Yeah, all right, man. How are you? Okay.
I'm good. So I've been wanting to hear your stories. You got one for us? Did something recently happen, or do you want to talk to us about one?
Yeah. I've got a couple, yeah. Well, there's always stuff going on in there when you watch things. But yeah, man, I've got a couple. But I'll just tell you this first. Yeah. I had my birthday on the 21st. And it was amazing. It was the best
Happy birthday, brother.
Yeah, cheers, man. 40, life begins then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's what they say. And you know what? I had the best birthday ever for all the right reasons, because for the first time in my life, it might sound a bit sad, one of my friends turned up to come and see me to make sure it's on my own birthday. Because it's so close to Christmas, people tend to forget, you know what I mean? So it's just really nice. And I've not known this guy all that long, and he really made it points, I've got to see you. I must see you today. And I thought it was really nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Pulled out all the stops, man. She cooked an amazing meal, candles, flowers, all that stuff. It was brilliant. So it's dead good. But the weird thing is, with all the energies, 10 minutes before it was actually about to officially become my birthday, midnight, I had really crappy news that was just stupid. And then 10 minutes after my birthday finished, I got really crappy news that was just stupid. I thought, well, isn't that weird? It just left me clean perfectly for my birthday. Do you know
what happened?
I thought, isn't that weird? Oh, it's just, it's all this, everybody's stressed out, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? I've got this sister, and she's dead reasonable. She's brilliant. She's a super teacher. But she sent this post to me, and she was like, in the family group, and it was like, everybody that's against lockdown is responsible for lockdown. They've ruined my Christmas. And I was like, whoa, I'm in that group. You know what I'm saying? And then she cut me off. She says, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave that. Do you know what I mean?
Everybody, that story is not, though, that is not like a uncommon story. Everybody has somebody in their family that's like so pro lockdown and mask that they get angry about it, and they'll practically un-own you if you tell them you don't want to be locked down. Yeah. And do you know what the sad thing is? I think, I'm not no genius, but I think I know why it is, right? And it's because we've all been presented, the entire globes have been presented with basically a fork in the road to guarantee that you're going to be divided. Because by law of averages, you've got to fall one side or the other, and yeah. That's right. Yeah. So it's like they give us that, and then the likes of us that have gone out of a way to generalise because something's happened, maybe some paranormal thing, we've gone to look in all directions, haven't we? We've tried to do a Samadhi experience, 360 there, to connect as many dots. But people who just happen to have not had some experience to make them do that have got the other narrative, haven't they? And so they've got to protect that narrative because they've attached their identity to it, and if they don't, part of them feels threatened. And I think that's why, because my sister is so reasonable, I used to call her the voice of reason. And do you know what I mean? To make a sweeping statement like that, and then to deny it's not a bad thing, I thought, that's not you, that's not my sister. You think she's possessed? No, not at all. No. I've got one that thinks that. No, I've got another one I think probably is. But that's another story, dude. That's a deep one. That's a really deep one. But no. It's just a weird one. But yeah, but it was great though. His girlfriend, brilliant. So that was all good. Well, at least you had a good birthday, man. I mean, I hope when I'm turned 40, I'm gonna have a good birthday. I only got like what? I don't know. I think I'm 38. I only got less than 2 years, and I'll be 40. So, yep. Well, you might be celebrating with aliens by then. You never know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It could be next, mate. You never know. But seriously though, Rohan, like, what got you into listening to this stuff? Like, how did your journey begin? I'm always curious about you guys. How you got into all this? I'll tell you exactly right. Traumatic stuff happened. My dad was like ill and dying and stuff, and then my whole paradigm had fell apart. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, right, I'm going to find out what's going on, because I just got the internet and YouTube had been going on not too long, and I had this book called The Crystal Skulls, and I never got around to reading it. I was saving it for the right moment, and I thought, you know what, this is a good moment. Let's find out about this, and it got me on the trail. And then I started realising, hang on a minute, the world's not as advertised, and I thought it was, and it just got me. Do you know what I'm saying?
So because of my upbringing, I was kind of forced to remember a lot of details. So it was really handy for me. Do you know what I'm saying?
So it was your journey about you started all this with investigating crystal skulls.
Yeah, just by chance, just because I happened to have this book. But the strange thing was, I don't know what this means, but I happened to have a dollar bill. It's his house used to live. Someone left a dollar bill there and thought, an American thing. And I had this dollar bill in front of me. And then when I was looking for this crystal skulls thing, your internet screen goes white sometimes when it's loading a page up.
Yeah.
I didn't have any lights on, so it blinded me a bit. So I closed my eyes, and the last thing I looked at when I closed my eyes was that dollar bill with that eye on the top of the pyramid, right? And that was the vision I burned on my retina when I closed my eyes. But then it wouldn't go away. And then I kind of fell into this eye, right? I've never had any drugs or anything at this point. Then I went in and I fell in and I basically had a DMT experience. I didn't know what it was until way later.
Looking at a dollar bill?
DMT experience. Yeah. I didn't look at it. It was just the very last, you just close your eyes. It was just the very last thing that was there. I was just trying to stop that. When the light hits your eyes and you close it to make it, the photons dissipate.
Yeah.
It was just that random thing. And for some reason, I had this random DMT experience where I saw this collage of stuff flying through and I felt like my hands were melting into my face. And I just held it and I thought, that's weird. What's that? And then like 2 years later, you find out, don't you?
You thought that was weird.
Man.
I would think that was weird. Unless, you sure somebody didn't slip something into your drink? I've had that happen before, I think.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Well, that would be funny you should say that, because I used to look at the stars all the time, and when we stood in my mum and dad's garden, we were on the flight path to an airport really close. So every time an plane goes over, I always want to look just to check for them little lights, just in case it's UFO, because you don't get nothing in England. So you've got to look, though, just in case.
Yeah.
But one time, right, I thought to myself, I can't quite see this plane. It's really, really, really high. And there was a bit of that cloud cover, right? I was trying to squint with you try and squint and kind of try and zoom in a bit. I was trying to look. And no word of a lie, I tried to zoom in with my eyes, and it worked, but it worked too well. And I saw this plane coming towards me, and I went straight past the wing of this plane, right, in my vision, like I was actually going up into the air. And it just overshot, ludicrously far. And I just went straight off into space, in a straight line. And I was like, whoa, in just a few seconds. And I was like, what the hell? And I could see his halo around me. And I looked to the left, and I could just see random oblongs of scenes from random people's lives, just trivial stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'm making a sandwich in that. And I thought, who are these people? And I looked to the other side, an old granny giving his kid an apple. And I thought, what's all this? And I looked straight ahead, and it just stopped. The travel stopped. And there was just these two massive gas clouds, and I thought, what the hell's going on? And I thought, are they nebulas? Because I'm out in deep space, isn't it? Big, massive gas clouds. One of them looked a bit purple there, one of them looked a bit blue. And I thought, why ain't the purple one, the bigger one, consuming the other? And then I thought, hang on a minute. This all happened in just a few seconds, and I thought, hang on a minute. I'm really far from home. I got the fear. And then I was the fear.
Yeah.
And I was instantly back in the chair, bro, straight away, just like that. As soon as I got the fear, it was like, we'll have you back then. And I didn't know what the hell that was. But then somebody online, I discovered this site when I was on my little journey called Gaia Souls. And I got talking to this guy, and he said, well, just check it out. Just see, where was you looking? What stars was you looking at? And I was like, I don't know, probably Orion's Belt's the only one that we'd see from that angle. So I checked it out. And it turns out there is a nebula. There is two, the M32 cluster or something, on the way to Orion's Belt from Earth. I really tried to work it out right. And it turns out there was two nebulas. And I thought the pictures, what the artist's impression they give from NASA and that, they looked the same as what I saw. And I realised, well, if that was true, then that's why the big one wasn't taking over the little one. Because from my perspective, they looked like they were next to each other. But really, one of them was about a light year behind the other, if that makes sense. And I was like, what do you do with that? Do you know what I mean? You get these little bits, don't you? What are you supposed to do with that? But, it's fun.
And now, were you in this hypnagogic state, or did it just happen? Did you just go
No,
out?
it just happened, bro. I don't even know. Yeah, I just went, just as if I was just Superman. I thought, I'm just going to fly up there. Well, obviously, you don't expect that you can do that. And I've not done astral projection. I don't even remember my dreams, bro. Do you know what I mean? I've remembered about 5 dreams my entire life. Do you know what I mean?
Whoa.
And I'm like, well, I don't know what you call it. I don't know, is it astral projection, is it? I don't know. It's not remote viewing because I was there. I don't know. I don't know what it is. So just thought, have you ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah.
It's just probably, it could be like remote viewing or, Dr. Bruce Goldberg, when he came on, he was talking about teleportation. But that dude came on and he's talked about how he was at a beach and then he came back to his couch and his shorts were wet, right? And not the kind of wet that, we could make fun of, but really like he'd been in the water or something. And I'm thinking, I don't know about all that, man. Like, is that, how could that be even possible? I don't know.
Well, I know what you're saying. I've heard that as well, but I know that, Courtney Brown and the Farsight Institute, same remote viewing and that.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with them. But yeah. Courtney Brown, I remember that when they tried to do the pyramids one, the Great Pyramids, I remember they made a discovery when there was remote viewing it, and somebody looked at the remote viewer and said, you're not supposed to be here. And they was like, what? We thought was viewing the past. And now they're thinking, well, maybe your consciousness is time traveling for someone to say you're not supposed to be here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what happened to Robert Monroe, too. He ran into all kinds of beings that didn't want anything to do with him because, apparently he had some kind of static from this planet. Like, there's some kind of space junk static stuff from all our thoughts that other beings out there just can't stand to be around. I don't blame them.
That kind of makes sense to me. Yeah, that kind of makes sense to me because I suppose you can imagine it like being a bad smell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. So you got into Crystal Skulls. What was the first radio show you ever listened to about this stuff?
Oh, I think I just did the YouTube stuff at first, and then I think got into the reading. And I think I came across Ryan Gable at some point.
Yeah,
and that's it. And he's on the same wavelength as me. I think we think the same stuff. And because I've had this memory thing. I haven't quite got a photographic memory. I've got good memory for things that happen, like event stuff. So I love a nice Ryan Gable binge, mate. It's great. That's what got me going. Because then it kicks my brain off more. Because then I'm thinking, yeah, other people do this. Yeah, you can be this good. You can look at all this stuff, and I was finding it fascinating. But through the process, I started to get this sense that this is really important. Like I'm supposed to do this, collect all this stuff. And I don't know why, because I don't really know how to apply myself. But now, this year's come. I met this guy that is brilliant at applying himself. He's already got a website. He just needs a business partner to get this journalism business going. He's got everything ready. And I thought, well, isn't that good timing? Because my head's full of stuff, just primed and ready.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, we're perfectly skill complementary. I just thought, well, that's what it was for then, sort of thing. But then I also used to think maybe it's that if some of this stuff happens, because you find out about Agenda 21, you start reading it, you're thinking, what? No way. Surely the people aren't that evil, sort of thing. And then I thought, well, maybe this is about learning stuff. So if stuff does go bad, at least you got some kind of answers for folk. Do you know what I mean? To not freak too much.
There's no doubt that that's going on. I mean, like I was saying the other night, if people actually do the research about Agenda 21. It's all you got to do is follow the money, man. That's that simple. Follow the money.
I know.
That's it.
It's so there. It's like Library of Congress. But the strange thing is, all this year, right, I've been trying to do this, but trying to make people feel better by saying, no, knowledge is power. Yeah, don't worry, because look at this. But this science thing said this so many times. And you know what? All the links that I've sent out this year, nobody's read any of them. Not one. Not even front page headlines of British newspapers. Nobody looks at anything. It's almost like they're not able to. Like, oh, it's come from you, so we can't. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, but hang on a minute. I think it's really strange. It's just, so it don't seem normal. These people that I'm sort of on about, they don't seem like they're acting themselves. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it's just there, isn't it? It's just there. Who knows what to do? Because the thing is, we've spent years looking at this stuff, gradually preparing. And now, people who haven't done that, they're seeing the whole world go, blah, you've got to do this, all in synchronization. And they probably know in the back of their mind, this don't make sense. They're seeing all the hypocrisy, but they've got to go with the narrative because it's all they know. And it's easier to do that than to think, would politicians really lie to all of us and do a big scam on us? Because it's too much, isn't it? It's like your parents when you find out about the Santa, you start asking the questions. Do you know what I mean? You think, hang on a minute, if you can hold a lie for me, you know what I'm saying? Everyone's in on it.
Yeah.
I guess you're paranoid, don't you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, have you ever wondered, here's a trippy thought too. Have you ever wondered, like, if this was just your story? In other words, like, you're the only one here and everybody else is just a figment of your imagination? Like,
Funny you should say that, because I even made a rhyme about that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because what if it is? What if it is? And that's the other thing, though. That's the other thing. The thing is, that's true and not true at the same time, I think, because we can see each other and we're in the same universe. But an individual person is an individual universe. And sometimes when synchronicities come, it seems like it's all keyed into you. But why can't it all be keyed into all of us? Why can't we all be the center of our own universe? We just happen to be able to see each other. Does that make sense?
yeah. Yeah, see, that's the thing is, like, I don't know if you're real. I think you could just be a character. If you think about, if you read Carl Jung, right? We only got a couple minutes here, but like when Carl Jung dives into the subconscious, the things that these characters say, and he's like, no, my brain's making these conversations up, man. Like, there's no way that you're real. And the characters in his deep dives would tell him, well, in fact, we're more real than you understand what real is, you know? And that's trippy. Yeah. Yep. And it's, I've had musings as well, and I look at some people and I think they're non-playable characters or programmed consciousnesses. It's almost like filling the gaps sometimes. Do you know what I'm saying? But then I think, well, we've all got to start somewhere. Maybe this is like their first time in. You don't know, do you? So, like that. I'm always trying to balance that age-old question. Well, for me, it's like an age-old question of how far do you go with compassion and self-respect? And should you just go compassion anyway? Is self-respect do you go? Or, do you know what I mean? It's like, how far do you go? Do you need to then try and gauge it differently to people's intentions? Judge them by their actions. I don't know how far you go. Because I think I could just take stuff from people all day long. My pain tolerance levels go off the charts, but I don't want to let myself down. Yeah, it's hard one, isn't it? It's hard. You know what they say though, like
balancing that, man.
The road to hell's paved with good intentions. Everybody's got good intentions. I think. Like Bill Gates believes he has good intentions, but he's wiping out the planet. You know?
Yeah, it probably does. It's like, say, well, you got to think, I feel for, sometimes I'm going to say it's something horrible, I feel for these politicians sometimes, or at least from the British model, because all the politicians, every single politician in the upper levels, they've all gone to public school. All the other schools in the UK are private. Only public schools are always for politicians, and they're groomed to do that job. So they're made to, from the beginning, to think instead of counting apples and dividing them between Johnny and Jenna, they're counting budgets, dividing them between counties and countries. So they're brought into it right from the beginning, aren't they? And groomed to think like that, to think we need to be managed. So they're kind of almost victims, aren't they? Do you know what I'm saying? Even though they might turn out to be some proper asshat, they've kind of been victims. And then I think, well, actually, we all are. We're all victims because we don't know our natural state of being because we've been manipulated since who knows how long. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, since the beginning, for sure. But, well, Rohan, look, thanks for calling in, brother, and, talking to me. This 30 minutes usually thing is like, I try to talk about what we're going to talk about tonight, but it really, you kind of talked about it, like, this is the discussion tonight. What is the power of human intention, and, like, what defines different levels of consciousness and how we understand our reality? And you didn't even know that's what we were going to talk about tonight, did you?
That's right. Well, it's all lining up, isn't it? Obviously.
Yeah. Everything is, brother. Everything is. And thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah, no worries, man. Hey, but guess what? Just before I go, the site's looking great, bro. Nice one. It's looking really good. You've obviously worked. So
that's all Amanda. Amanda did. Well, I did some of the tech stuff, but yeah, I love the website. It's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really good. Oh, I'll send a message then. Yeah, no worries, man. Keep up the good work, and I'll catch you soon, brother.
All right. Take care, bro.
See ya.
There's Rohan, everybody. So you guys, I wish more of y'all would do that. Just call in and chat with me sometimes. Like, that's what it's all about, right? But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Basically, a little bit about psychoenergetic science and what are the limits to the power of human intention. Let's see. Someone's asking, I must have wrote down the new email because I can't find you. I got fringe.fm.com/merchandise. I don't know where that's coming from, but yeah. So if you want to email the show, you just email contact@lightingthevoid.com. So what defines our different levels of consciousness and how we relate to our understanding of our reality? Like, how do we define these things? We've seen these charts and maps and all this stuff, and is matter itself inherently conscious, like everything around us? So we're going to be talking with Nisha Manek, MD. She wrote the book Bridging Science and Spirit, and we'll be back with her. We're going to take a short break. Don't forget to sign up to our Patreon and the newsletter. Go sign up to The Outsider for free. You can also sign up at The Outsider news.info. We'll be right back. You guys stay with us.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Want to know what's on the Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
This is Malorcas 45, fan of The Fringe FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a void walker.
Hey, Joe Root. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a void walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a void walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, aka Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
Born out of the alchemical tradition of Paracelsus is a medical tradition called Spagyria. Though not many people practice this work today, Phoenix Aurelius has been researching and teaching this work for the last 15 years, and he needs your support.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Aurelius, and I'm the founder of the Phoenix Aurelius Research Society, where I perform modern scientific research on the methods and techniques of Paracelsian alchemy and Spagyria for health, wellness, agriculture, ecology, and more. All my work is 100% funded by the public. So if you like what I'm doing and you want to support my research, please consider making a purchase of spagyric medicines from my apothecary, fund your own spagyric IDF wellness research, or participate in my group study or one-on-one immersion courses so that you can learn how to perform this work for yourself. I want to thank you in advance for your support.
Visit thefringe.fm/alchemy research and enter coupon code FRINGE and receive 15% off anything and everything on the website. That's thefringe.fm/alchemy research. And thank you for doing your part and keeping alchemy alive in the modern day.
Hey, this is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Root on the Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is Fee, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a void walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner void walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new Art Bell. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, aka the Night Stalker, and I'm a void walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void walker. Thanks, Joe Root.
This is Barbara Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
Have you heard of heavy metals? Yeah! I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. Cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people. It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm, or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
From the Kingdom of Arkansas, you are listening to Joe Roop and Lighting the Void here on the Fringe FM.
Hey, this is Amalia from Know the Self Mystery School. I know that you are in the midst of massive change. We all are. This is the great turning, the time that we all decided to be here on the planet. Do you know why you came here to be a part of this crazy time? If not, I invite you to join my mystery school. I have a 9-week course called Activate Your Mission. And in this course, you're going to learn how to erect crystal clear boundaries so that you can hear that inner still voice that's going to guide your every move. Even if you're dealing with feeling weighed down by obligations and being enslaved to the system, this course is going to give you the tools you need to illuminate your shadow and awaken to your soul's mission. The moment you sign up to the school, you are going to be greeted by not only a group of soulful spiritual warriors, but you're also going to get some massive karmic clearings, and you're going to feel the energy. It's palpable. I hope you'll join me in the school where together we're going to unlock your divine mission.
Activate your mission by going to thefringe.fm/soul mission and put in the code word FRINGE and receive $50 off today.
All right, thank you for your patience and welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We had that little Skype difficulty there, but we're back in action. And make sure you go sign up for that course too. Amalia knows what she's doing when it comes to finding out what your soul mission here is. And tonight we're going to be talking about what is the mission of the human. In other words, like, what is our potential? What can we do really? And our guest tonight is here with us. Nisha Manek is here with us, Dr. Nisha Manek. And the thing is we want to know, like, are there limits to the power of human intention? What defines our levels of consciousness and how we relate to our understanding of reality? Now, she has written a book called Bridging Science and Spirit, and in her commitment and dedication to innovative approaches to health and wellness, she seeks to synthesize and unify her work as a physician and scientist with spiritual inquiry and practice. And with the mentorship of Dr. William A. Tiller, Professor Emeritus of Stanford University, Department of Material Science and Engineering, she is studying the potential power of human consciousness and intention and healing. And thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. I hope I said your name right. Hope I didn't butcher that.
Hey, it was perfect. Nisha Manek, perfectly pronounced.
And so, where are you calling me? Are you in the States?
I am here in California.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you think? But you're originally from Kenya, right? Isn't that what you told me?
I was born and raised in Africa and left when I was about 16 or 17 and went for higher education. So I've really been around the world in a sense. Did medical school in Scotland, in Glasgow, Scotland. Practiced medicine in London, came over to Stanford, and I did rheumatology fellowship. And rheumatology is a specialty dealing with immune diseases and arthritis. After that, I was at the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota for many years. And then I left. I jumped really to understand. I really wanted a bigger toolkit, you might say, of health and wellness. And I think in modern medicine, we've gone down this pathway of chemistry. That's what we do. We are so interested in the body, what the body does. We analyze the body. We do testing on the body. We take pictures with x-rays of the body. But we know, Joe, that the body is a very small part of what a human being really is. And I think we've put ourselves in a very, very tight corner. And so when I was at the Mayo Clinic, I really, really realized that we need to seriously look at the notions of energy medicine, and really that was my segue into physics. Okay, it was this whole question of what is this energy, and what is this energy biofield? You might have heard the term biofield.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
And there's and absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing in my medical education, nothing in in the medical journals. We don't even have a definition of energy. And I'm not talking about calories. That's what we talk about in medicine, is how much calories are you eating? That's the extent of energy. And so it was clear to me that this whole notion of energy, and what I mean by energy is the energy systems in the body need to be looked at more seriously.
Right. Yeah.
And in medical school, we do all this anatomy, and Joe, we don't actually see any energy systems or channels.
That's what I was going to ask you. What gave you the inclination that there was an energy field? How did you start? Something had to have triggered you to get into this, to looking into this. What was that? Do you remember?
I think it was two things. One, it was my patients. And, I've written case reports and book chapters. There were a couple of patients, some of them, one of them was a young woman who was actually quite sick with a disease called lupus. And lupus is really a tough condition. It has a whole number of manifestations. They're quite sick. And this young lady, one day, she hadn't gotten into my office yet. And I usually, before I see a patient, we'll look at their lab work, look at the body data, you might say. And I was actually quite worried about her before she stepped into the office. And so I was preparing myself to encounter a really sick lady and maybe admit her to hospital. But in strides this bright-eyed, bouncy person, and I remember asking her, your labs, I've looked at them. She says, I know, they don't look great, right? I said, yeah, but you are doing terrific. What is it that you do? And I was very curious. And I sort of had a hunch. And she said to me, Dr. Manek, you're going to laugh at me. And I thought, why would I ever do that? Tell me what you do. And she said, I do yoga and I meditate in the morning.
Yeah.
I do yoga. And even when she couldn't, she says, if I have pain in my joints and I cannot, what I do is lay my mat out, but I do some. And mostly I meditate. And she used these hand gestures like something going away with her hands pushing away from her body, indicating that my pain, it's not me. The pain is relieved by my being in control. But it was her conscious decision. And then she brought something out of her handbag, and that was just marvelous. It was a gift to me as a doctor to learn from her. And she took out a guided meditation for rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. And she says, I do this every day. That day, I didn't give her more steroids. There was no need to. You treat the patient, not lab work. But what we did decide is, why don't you come into my office a little sooner? You know, usually I see people every 6 weeks, 3 months, or whatever.
Yeah.
I got her in, in a month or so. And I told her, if anything happens, you get a swollen joint or a rash, and she says, I know the drill. Don't worry. And she did just fine. And it was a big turning moment in a sense that I lost the fear that we must give patients a little bit more leeway, let them discover things, and they can heal themselves. They can heal themselves. And later on, I can share more stories, but it was quite wonderful, actually.
Yeah.
And I've done Tai Chi and Qigong myself, and I know that when I do these things, a Tai Chi, and I do very conscious movements and breathing, that I feel some warmth, something move inside of me. What is that? What is that Qi, as the Eastern traditions call? It was worthwhile to go there. So that was one of the.
Well, how much do you think? How much do you think of this, doctor, is psychosomatic? I'm not taking away from the spiritual sense, but the placebo effect has been known to do some massive things for people. If someone was to believe that this stuff worked for them and really believe it down to the core of their subconscious, do you think that could affect it?
So the placebo effect, it's been used in a rather, you might say, let's brush it aside kind of way by scientists, medicine. And actually we've turned the corner in the placebo effect to really now realize its potential as a positive and healing dimension. Okay, so would this lady have had a placebo effect? Possibly. But it was really remarkable to me to look at the numbers and know that this isn't just a placebo. This lady, the numbers show that she is sick, yet she wasn't sick. And there was a deeper, you might say, a kind of impulse was going on. And I wouldn't call that placebo. It wasn't just her brain or a decision. She was actually sharing with me what goes on and what she feels. Okay. And she even knew, my numbers don't look good, but I feel fine. Mm-hmm. What do you think we should do? What do you think we should do? And so she was very open to the fact that another prescription might be in order. And I said, no, let's hold on a moment here. I think you've activated a very deep healing thing. We know these things exist, but I have no way to quantify it. I have no way, if you will go all the way to wellness and correct the anemia or correct this and that and the other, but we need to just keep a surveillance on you. I don't believe it was just the placebo effect. She literally said, I feel good when I do the meditation. And it wasn't just a belief in it. It was literally healing herself.
Well, that's what I was going to say to what you just said about when people say, well, it's the placebo effect. Well, they don't really define that, do they? They just say it's the placebo effect. And, it could be something super spiritual there.
Mm-hmm. Well, placebo effect has been relegated to a belief in something. And, you might be given a sugar pill. And if you're not told what's in there and you believe that you have the treatment, you may actually engage a certain belief pattern that you're going to get better. And now actually in some centers such as Harvard University, they actually use the placebo. They'll tell a patient, this is a sugar pill, but you have a condition, say irritable bowel syndrome, where we have no known medicines to help this condition, but we know that sugar pills and your belief system will be engaged. Here's a sugar pill. So we actually openly now are saying to patients that we're going to give you this as a sort of,
really?
You can actually do that. So it's not unethical to do that anymore. So it's interesting how that has made its way into mainstream medicine. So I like to think that the placebo itself, the treatment that you have, whether it's active or a dummy sugar pill, the patient's intention changes its potential.
Right.
Changes its potential totally. And, actually one of my first papers with William Tiller, and Tiller is one of the giants in intention research. And I can explain to you, in a little while, what he actually did in the physics lab, which is really stunning. I didn't believe the data. But one of our first papers was that he said, Nisha, you think you and me are separated in time, in space and time. You're over there, I'm over here. But he says, once you are engaged in a system, that means you and I have agreed to be here in conversation. And just imagine in a doctor's office, a patient comes in and signs a consent form to be participating in a trial. You have a doctor, you have the patient, you have a treatment, and you have a placebo, a dummy pill. The moment you have entered into a system, both the materials, that is the treatment and the placebo, and the person and the doctor are actually connected. We think they're separate in space and time, but actually the physics says they're entangled. There's a connectivity. And the patient's intention actually has a field effect such that the placebo and the treatment, they behave like each other. So it's not just a belief now. Their intention actually activates even the dummy pill. I mean, this is fantastic, that we can actually change something that is, thought to have nothing active in it. Dummy, we even call it a dummy pill, that it can actually have the potential equivalent to a therapy. It becomes therapy. But it's by virtue of your intention and the doctors too, by the way, a doctor's positive impact on the trial will have very good effects. It's the healer's intention, the patient's intention. These are all entanglement effects, and you can show that mathematically.
That's
so the first
interesting,
paper I wrote was the physics of the placebo effect, untangling the entanglement. So we think all of these entities are separated, but I can tell you we are not. We're not separated, and we are failing to recognize these things in medicine because we don't have a framework for that. We don't have language or the training. We certainly don't do any physics, but I think it's necessary to really expand our understanding of nature and of understanding what a human being is really capable of. We're not just a bag of molecules sloshing about,
There's a fascinating book that I got from a friend of mine and started reading, and it was all about biogeometry fields, and it was by Ibrahim Karim, PhD, right? This guy, he wrote about biogeometry, and he called it Solutions to the Global Environment Crisis, New Energy Secrets of Ancient Egypt and the Great Pyramids. In other words, he figured out that setting up certain geometrical shapes actually kind of changed the frequency, so to speak, of certain things. And it was pretty fascinating stuff. And then I've studied the Western ceremonial arts with Israel Regardie, and he has a ritual called the middle pillar, where basically you touch where each one of your chakras would be and say a mantra, and you imagine a torsion field, and you imagine that the energies are going certain ways, and it does actually really balance you out, So I think.
Oh yeah.
I think the intention, you're on to something with that. When someone, it's not like that placebo thing that they talk about. To me, is just the spark. It's when someone really makes up their mind about something, and it creates an energetic field,
Mm-hmm. And what Tiller showed in his experiments is that he really set out to say, we think in science, we have this assumption that the human observer doesn't really impact the thing or nature out there, whether we're studying something, that you, the observer, is here, and what you're observing and getting numbers and analysis is not impacted by your consciousness. Well, that's completely wrong. He showed that's completely wrong. We have immense effects on materials. And, we are just not coherent as human beings. We've got so much noise inside of us that, we're not able to hold a single thought for more than a few seconds, okay? And that's where Tiller, before he took on these experiments in his physics lab, and he did the early work at Stanford University in Palo Alto, he had an immense practice. And even the word practice is incorrect, but he had a discipline, a ritual of meditation. And he uses the Psalms, Psalm 46, Psalm 23, his favorite Psalms, where he would do the Psalms, meditate deeply, at least an hour, without fail, never missing a day. So he was is a very deeply coherent human being. I knew that immediately when I met him. I met many teachers in my life, and when I finally met him in Scottsdale, Arizona, I got it. I said, wow, this is somebody who has excellent, absolute, stellar pedigree on the outer sciences, okay? He knows mathematics and physics, the world's expert in crystals, so he knows symmetries, he knows the math and material sciences, so he knows how to create new materials. But here's someone not only with just the accolades of traditional science, the physical science, he is an inner managed human being. He has really developed himself inside. I mean, I could feel that spaciousness, the kindness, and the compassion, which I'd never seen before or encountered in such a high scientist. It was like saying, okay, I'm meeting Albert Einstein for dinner. What do you ask somebody like that? And in this case, Tiller was also a sage. He's like the rishi. Rishi is a term in the Vedas. Vedas is ancient Indian scripture where when the rishi speaks, it becomes true. In Tiller, he created something in his thinking. Then he gave it shape. That thinking was his intention. Then he put it in the visible world by his speech and by writing it down. Then he held it in meditation. And this is a very early protocol for testing his intention to change a material out there in a stable and measurable way. Now, Joe, you and I are capable of this. We can hold an intention. If we attend to something, we're going to make it happen sooner or later. The trouble is, well, I'll speak for myself. Initially, Nisha wants a red car. I want a red car, and I want a red car. Okay, that's my intention.
But that's your only parameter. And see, I study, like I'm an occultist, and if you want a red car, and I do the Psalms too. And in fact, the Psalms used to be called the Shemush Tehillim. They are a magical text, but they incite, I would say, your subconscious into a very deep egregore, right? That goes way back. But when you say you want a red car and you focus on that, if that's your only parameter, you'll get a red car. But you'll get a red car the way nature gives you a red car.
Yes, that's true. That is true. What Tiller did was, you're right, what you attend to will happen. But what Tiller did, when I look at it as a scientist, when you change a material, and he chose water.
Oh, nice.
To him, a glass of water sitting on a desk, to me, it's a clear liquid, quenches your thirst. I mean, water is wonderful. I mean, but to him, he knows intimately the structure of water, the potential, the hydrogen and oxygen molecules bouncing around in that water and dissociating electrons as hydrogen ions, where you're getting reassociation, dissociation, and all that. Yeah. That wonderful water, its flexibility. And anyway, he says, okay, so we have this water. Can we, just by your thought alone, impact that glass of water? And he chose the pH of water because you can measure that continuously.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And with an electrode, you can feel the thing, and you can actually do this very easily. Nothing fancy. This is what I call frugal science, okay? No $1 million things and doing brain scans to look at intention. No, he says consciousness is not from the brain. The brain is not the seat of consciousness coming out of there. No, it's not it's a perception organ, exquisite in that way, but it's not where consciousness arises from. Consciousness is unbounded. It's invisible. It's unbounded. Everywhereness beyond space and time. You have to put those things down there, okay? You have to put them up front. We don't have the instruments to measure things faster than the speed of light. We have limitations here. But in any case, he said, okay, I'm going to test my intention if it can change the pH of pure water. Simple as that, okay? And he did it. He did it over and over again. And he's written this in peer-reviewed papers. Now, there was one step that I'll describe it. There was no precedent for a science protocol the way Tiller said about doing this, okay? So if you decide you want to have a red car, will it take a day? Will it take a week for my red car? Or do I keep intending for my red car to manifest? And in such a way, Tiller didn't know, should I hold my intention for 5 minutes? Is it going to, do I keep intending? You can't. Will it work right away? Oh, well, what's the timeline? We don't know, okay? So he says, well, we do know one thing. Humans do impact machines which hold human information. Intention is information. We're creating something, okay? You have a thought, you write it out, that's information. And if you hold it in a stable way in meditation, that information can be, you might say, imprinted, or a little device is a repository in a stable way. Well, he did that. It's a simple device. And that was what was used then to broadcast, you might say, to the target, in this case, water. And it worked. It's now, this device is being used to broadcast intention to heal people, cohorts of people. And these are some of the experiments I describe in Bridging Science and Spirit, because it blows out completely, in my view, everything about medicine. Okay, to me, medicine is you go into a brick and mortar, a building, you check in, you go into a room, a doctor comes in, they look at you for 5 minutes, push a piece of paper, your script, and off you go. Tiller is doing something fantastic. He's a physicist. Remember that. He's not a doctor. But what he did do was, hey, if we can change water in a stable way, this device can be used to broadcast, say, something to a living system in a beneficial way. Now you are a human being coming from your heart, delivering a prayerful intention for another human, and that human can be located thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
Thousands. Okay, so he did an experiment to help children with autism. And autism in medicine, we don't do very well, okay? We treat these children as though they're sick, and we try to give them speech therapy, delayed learning, try to discipline them, but they are different. They're not in this space and time. It's like they're spaced out. I mean, really. So, it's really tough to have autistic children in families, to really help these children thrive in the environment that they find themselves in. So Tiller actually teamed up with an autistic expert. She's a speech therapist. And Susie Miller and Tiller wrote an intention statement. They both had the same intention to help these kids. And they were located all around the world, Finland, Australia, all around the United States. There were about 40 families, okay? And the children were anywhere from 3 years to older into the teenage years. Most of them were not speaking. Autism spectrum has speech delay as one of the hallmarks, you might say. Well, anyway, they didn't even write the kids will start speaking in their intention, but they imprinted the device, and it's sitting in Arizona. Okay, so Tiller is in Arizona, and his labs were in Payson. So they switch on this device, and within 24 hours, the first testimonials started to pour in from Australia, okay? The kids started to speak, and they started to exhibit behaviors, sociable, hugging, parents. They have repetitive behaviors, banging their heads and whatever, started to calm down. It was such a difference. And they have this questionnaire, the ATEC score, that showed the probability of this happening was 1 in, I think, 10,000 by chance. It wasn't the placebo. You can't call this a placebo. And I thought, how can this be possible? How does intention reach a family in such and such a street, in Finland? I mean, how is this possible? So there's an intelligence to the information, the intention, and it's the field effect. There's entanglement. And Tiller realized that there are dimensions. We think that this natural dimension that you and I are talking on, we're talking through electromagnetism, through a phone line, but there are other avenues of communication in nature, and that's what he has uncovered. Not only that, in his labs, he realized that the magnitude of his intentions manifesting are so huge. I mean, the signals for a whole pH unit is not a little random little thing, a blip. No, these are huge signals. And the clue was in the space. The space of the lab undergoes a fundamental change. In other words, not only does a coherent human being affect their own physical structure with energy efficiency, but also increase the coherence of the physical vacuum of space. Okay? Physical vacuum means empty space. And that's physics. Physics acknowledges that the world, nature, is mostly empty space. And empty space is not quite correct because it has field effects, okay? But it has no matter. It doesn't have stuff. It doesn't have form. And so the magic here is that human intention increases the coherence in the field of the physical vacuum. And once you do that, that vacuum state is the source of material. That's where electrons pop out from. That's where all the matter comes from. That's where Higgs bosons and electrons and all these quarks and things that we talk about. That's the standard model of physics talks about. It's from the field. Okay, so I'm giving you a lot of information here, so forgive me. But
no, it's fine.
Really,
it's awesome.
Yeah, so physical space. And now here's the other thing about the shift in that space, which is so marvelous. When I went to his labs first time in Arizona for one of our meetings in physics, and, I left the Mayo, and I was so determined to get to the bottom of this. We got to go, and I told you it was through energy medicine, but what I stumbled into was more information. This intention is a source of creative potential. Intention is the connection. It is candidacy to connect science to spirit, because intention is our tool of consciousness. Consciousness does things through intention. That's why I create these sentences to speak to Joe. It's how I wrote the book. All right? So I went to his labs in Arizona, and I remember I remarked to Dr. Tiller, I said, 2 hours of heavy going discussions and math, and it was hard for me. And yet every time I would go to his home and his labs, especially his labs in Payson, Arizona, I told him, I don't feel fatigued. I feel like, wow, like I've been in a retreat or meditation. And he says, Nisha, that's exactly right. That's the clue. And I said, what do you mean? And he says, read the papers, but you're going to find out. It was the space. The space goes through a fundamental change. It was like, let me put an analogy for your listeners. It was like I was standing in hallowed space, like I was standing in a cathedral, okay? Like if I close my eyes, close my ears, I have no sensory input, I could have been sitting in Westminster Abbey, okay? Felt, and when you open your eyes, you're looking at computer monitors, pH monitors, and, graphs and gauges, and it was a really fascinating for me to see that he has created with this intention. He stumbled into it. So the bottom line is this: if you have a coherent intention and you're holding that again and again, either with yourself or with a device, the space, the very space, is going to shift. And that's how people who meditate together, they pump a space. It starts to decay, it's metastable. They come the next day, do another meditation, pump it up higher and higher still, the next week, the next month. And that's how humanity has created sacred spaces all around the world. Okay, they've done that. And Tiller found that with his science of intention, you're capable of creating something quite unique. And that space is tuned in a certain way to manifest certain things. In this case, the pH of water changed. He did other experiments too. They're described in the book in actually quite a lot of detail.
Okay.
But intention, if your intention can do this to materials and to heal people sitting thousands of miles away, without decay, that intention it's not electromagnetic. It doesn't decay. It doesn't need a telephone line. Just imagine what you and I are capable of. And, I write in the book towards the end that mankind is evolving. We were Homo erectus. We started to stand on 2 legs. Then we developed a frontal lobe of our brain, and we became like a thinking and analytical species, the Homo sapiens.
We have
now,
to. I hate to cut you off right there, but we have to take a break. But we'll come back and pick up from there where man is evolving, and I have a couple of questions too. This is fascinating stuff. Also, if you guys want to ask a question, you can call in at 1-800-588-0335. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio.
This is Dave from Surviving the System, and you're listening to the Fringe FM. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, the best
you
revenge
love talk
is
radio,
success.
then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, the Fringe FM.
Want to support Lighting the Void? Just go to lightingthevoid.com, sign up on our membership page, and pick your package where you can get exclusive content, readings, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Also, check out the LTV shop where you can get your very own altar box, t-shirt, shack, hoodie with sigil, Roswell-style t-shirt, racerback tees, socks, long-sleeve shirts, stickers, and beanies. Keep Lighting the Void airing 5 nights a week by going to lightingthevoid.com and support today.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Lighting the Void and the Esoteric Scholar present the Altar Box, crafted and designed for magicians by magicians. Now you can take your practice with you. This beautifully handcrafted mobile altar opens and works as an altar for any of your spiritual, religious, or ritual practices. Made to travel and work in small spaces, the Altar Box comes with hidden compartments for your practice tools and accessories. The Altar Box also comes with a dark scrying mirror for scrying and reverses and fits perfectly also as a chalkboard for any sigil, symbol, or whatever you see fit to sketch. The Altar Box is handcrafted to carry as a small suitcase, so you may take your practice with you, and the hinges are made with solid material and hinged with leather and rivets for extra strength. The mirror piece and floor plate fit perfectly when closed, so no movement will happen. Use it in small places as well. You can practice meditation, magic, planetary magic, sigil magic, scrying, ritual. Never be without your practice tools again, no matter the setting or where you go. And this season, give the gift of magic for yourself or your loved one by grabbing your Altar Box. Was $249.99, now $199.99. The sale ends January 1st, 2021. Just go to lightingthevoid.com/altarbox and get yours while the sale lasts.
I don't know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I am a void walker.
Phone lines are open. You can call in at 1-800-588-0335. We're with Dr. Nisha Manek, and we're talking about the power of intention. Her book, Science and Spirit, Bridging Science and Spirit. You can go check that out. And before we get back into our conversation, Doctor, can you tell everybody where they can grab that book, if you don't mind?
Hi, Joe. Yeah, on Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
You'll be able to get Amazon. It's on ebook and audio too. It's an audiobook as well.
Oh, fantastic. Good. I'm about to have to take a plane ride, so I might listen to it on the way.
You'll like it.
I was listening to what you were talking about, and I blew right through the break. I usually do that when things are really cool. So you were talking about man is evolving, but before we pick up on that, I want to ask you one real quick thing. So you work in the field of rheumatology, right? And that's, but there's immune deficiencies and things like that. But if Tiller is changing the pH of water with his intentions, isn't there some truth to the pH balance, since we're pretty much all water? When our bodies are the balance of acidic to alkaline, don't our bodies work better? Don't our bodies prevent cancer and things like that better? Essentially work like a battery better.
Yeah. So the pH of the body is very closely regulated. It's 7.4, so it's slightly alkaline. Okay, so so Tiller, when he did a whole pH unit, a whole pH unit either side of 7.4, and you're dead, actually. So It's a huge signal. But I think what you're referring to is, of course, there's a health movement that if you have alkaline water and fruits and vegetables, they're raw, then you'll have an alkaline milieu. I think there's some truth to it, but I can't speak to it more than that. But what Tiller was simply saying is, let me do something under controlled conditions, and does my thoughts, can they actually have an impact like this? It does, and it does because the space changes. There's more than one dimension.
Gotcha.
And he called it direct space and reciprocal space. So there are these, you might say, and we create those dimensions all the time. I gave the example of Westminster Abbey. We do that consciously. We create it with stained glass window and incense and all that. But what he has done is create such an exalted space in a physics lab, which is, to me, and I always think, my God, then what about the hospital ward? Because hospitals are depressing places.
Yeah.
What about the ICU? What about tuning the space so that people with cancer or neonatal, or premature children, that we can actually benefit them and speed up their healing? How about YWCA, yoga studios, the local Starbucks? I mean, the possibilities are endless. We're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think, do you think that mainstream science and mainstream medicine will ever get funded? And in a big way. I know there are break-off organizations and things that have funding and do fundraisers for this kind of research, but do you think it'll ever become mainstream where this type of work could be funded for research?
It really needs to be, Joe. I think we are at a point that machines are doing much for us. Our memories are taken over by machines. Our sense of direction has been taken over by machines. Everything. So in other words, we're becoming more and more unconscious. There's a real danger in that. And what Tiller is doing is quite the opposite. He is more alert, more awake. He's 92. and was continuing to generate data until last year. At 91 years old, just imagine equations, mathematics, writing white papers. This is a human that has contributed so much. So funding is an issue. When I was with him, it was frustrating. And in fact, he even says, I have no money for your scholarship, so you better figure it out. And I said, I am so, I really want to know the truth. I want to know the truth, bottom line. And just doing chemistry in medical clinics is not the way. And I believe you have something of value. I just felt it. I couldn't understand his paper, but it grabbed me so much I wouldn't let go. Okay? And I left, you might say I left prestige and I left everything I knew to be able to venture out into the unknown, no curriculum. All I knew is this man has done something. He has achieved something, and this is worthy of study. As I said, he's like a teacher of a very high level, a mentor of a very high level, and they are very rare. And if they teach you, if they're offering to take you under their wing, go for it. Run, in fact. Forget all your security. There is nothing secure about, the normal way. He broke all the molds, in my view. So will this be funded? I'll tell you one thing, Joe. Thank God for Tiller, because he's done the math. He's got free white papers in the Tiller Institute. If there are brainiacs who are listening to your talk or to this show, I hope that young, energetic scientists who are also doing the spiritual work will create even bigger things, because we are at that point. Yeah. We must evolve from Homo sapiens to Homo spiritus.
I think that there's some really good energy that's coming off of you that I feel I've done 600 and something shows, and every scientist or doctor or physicist that's ever come on here, I've always asked them that question. How do we get mainstream money behind the movements of consciousness and intention and the human potential? No matter how many particles they break down, no matter how many machines they use, there has to be some research for the metaphysical. There has to be.
Yeah. There must be. Yeah.
And I think the Dalai Lama kind of felt that off of you too. Didn't you you got a gift from the Dalai Lama once, didn't you?
Yes. So in Bridging Science and Spirit, I do describe very, very unique experiments. And this was mind-blowing for me.
Yeah.
You see, we think consciousness is in the brain, and I told you already, that's nonsense.
Right.
So the brain is a sensory, a perceptual organ, very exquisite, no question about it, but it's not where consciousness comes from. And the biggest evidence I saw of this was the Lord Buddha's relics. What is a relic? Relic is a remain of a master, an avatar. And the Buddha's relics survive today, 2,600 years after his passing. They are being kept safely by His Holiness. Now, for some reason, miraculously, these relics were on a worldwide tour for more than a decade. Okay, so why, from a monastery in Hassa, were they put on a tour? I mean, this is extraordinary. I was at the Mayo Clinic, and they came to a monastery in Minneapolis. And I was fortunate enough to view the relics. And I wrote a paper about it. And it was very clear to me. The essence or the consciousness of Buddha is in front of me, but there's no body there.
Right,
there is no body. There's no body. There's no body. There's no flesh and bones and brain. But this relic is communicating with me, hugging me. I fell to the floor. I thought, what is this? And you have to scrap everything. You have to start from the bottom again, or I would say the top again. It's top-down science. You have to look at these phenomena with a clear eye. This is not the placebo effect. Let's get honest here.
Sure.
These things are conscious. These are relics. They're conscious objects.
Well,
it's not even the material of it's not even the material what that relic consists of. It's the energy or the information of Buddha himself. Information means loving kindness, unconditional loving kindness. And we could measure it. So here's the other clue. Your consciousness via intention is a source of energy. A source of energy. And how much energy are we looking for? We keep thinking we're in this limited resources. I think we're being misled completely. And so this experiment with the Buddha's relics confirmed, yes, these objects are conscious. Number 2, source of energy, you can put a number on it. Number 3, it has tremendous coherence in the space. Wherever the Buddha relics go, the space of that museum or exhibit hall changes. Because I can say that because those relics came to my home. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, or his organization gave us permission that we host the Buddha's relics in the worldwide tour. They came to a private home. And there were 3,000 plus people. We don't know who they are. The doors are open, filing, viewing the relics. And I could see, the space of our living room, like I told you, within a few seconds, Joe, was from an ordinary living room where you have coffee, you chit-chat, to something that was like a high cathedral within a few seconds. And then you see the people coming in. It's like they're wearing a mask, and when they leave, it's the original face coming in. Peaceful. Yeah, peaceful. A glow. The emotions unburdened, the physical ailments disappearing. I mean, what is this? Okay, you don't need chemistry for this. It was this space. And this is not a placebo effect. I mean, you have to really now have to look at this whole phenomena, step back and say, okay, this is a different level of science, a different nature, a higher nature, and we're heading that way. If we wake up as a species, this is our next step. The masters have always shown us the way.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right.
The song. Yeah.
I know you're right fundamentally, honestly, and spiritually. I know you're right. That there is. I've always felt that there's a divine plan at play here for that to work out to where we're kind of forced to see that intention and love and unconditional love and compassion and things like that create healing and safe environments and evolve you through love. It's like the biggest secret of alchemy. But the thing is what you were talking about with the machines and the media, and they've got us so focused on material things like that. I believe that 2021 is going to be a separation of people. Like some people are going to go towards, and I don't see anything wrong with technology. It's wonderful, but it's not everything, right? And if we focus on the material all the time without the metaphysical and the unseen, then we're really missing at least half of ourselves, right? And I know exactly what you're talking about when you feel this energy of someone when you're in their presence. It's something totally different.
I wrote in Bridging Science and Spirit, what are the uses of this device that Tiller imprinted? Very simple box thing. And I made the differentiation. This is not artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is an algorithm programmed by some person for certain responses, but Tiller, through his own intention and subtle energy, which is your consciousness working, imprints the device. There's no algorithm there. Now you're the creator of something quite big. You have to be alert. And for the perfect storm for us to bound forward in useful machines, not just being comfortable and to have convenience, to have the perfect storm of the next stage of machines, to have, let's just call it AI, it has to be people who are absolutely conscious themselves. So you have the mathematical knowledge and algorithm and coding, but they are also awake. And who is going to do all of that work? And when I say work, discipline for meditation. For meditation, to be a gift unto the world instead of, I want to become famous and do patents all day. You know, Tiller is not, shouldn't everybody know about Tiller? And I think he's way ahead of his time to be able to do what he has done in the labs. Why don't we hear about him? Why don't we hear about somebody who did these miraculous, anomalous things in his physics lab repeatedly, using the rigor of scientific method? And yet, no one knows him. And he has always said, Nisha, these are the gifts. You're a human. You're capable of this. The scripture says it. I have created and done these deeds, and greater than these deeds you shall do. That's Master Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And Matthew says, where two or more are gathered in my name, when two or more are gathered to write an imprinting statement to benefit autistic children, you better believe it will happen. So I think Tiller has shown a very wonderful way forward in my world for medicine, for healing. And this has really changed me as a doctor. It has changed me fundamentally. That doesn't mean I don't use chemicals. Of course I prescribe, but I teach my patients the value of, doing Tai Chi. Do some energetic therapies because it'll amplify anything we do in the chemical milieu. It'll amplify and augment, and it has no side effects. You won't even need to see me. You'll decrease your doctor bills. How about that?
Yeah, that would be fantastic, right? And I mean, yeah, that'd be fantastic. And I'm looking at Tiller's books here. In this fourth book, he labels a lot of this psychoenergetic science. And I hope one day, that's a great scientific term for it, right? But I hope one day that we could just call it for whatever it is and say, look, I don't know what this is. I know it's love, and I know there's some kind of love and energy here that's been taught since the beginning of time. And I think that we need to tap into it. And I think this book is quantum mechanics. I mean, it definitely taps into it. But I swear this is like such a synchronicity that you're on the show, because I've asked people over and over and over again, at what point, and I keep reiterating this, I know, but at what point is science and medicine, science period, going to get behind the metaphysical realm and start putting some real money behind it? It has to happen.
Yeah, it has to happen. I'll tell you what I've observed in medicine. And there's been a momentum in medicine, and it is a momentum towards integrative medicine. Integrative medicine is, let me put the word holistic medicine, okay? Did this momentum occur because of me as a physician? No. Did it occur because of professors in universities? No. Did momentum occur because of Mayo Clinics and the Cleveland Clinics and Johns Hopkins? No, it did not. It happened because of ordinary people fed up of all the medicines and side effects, and they said, we've had enough. I am going to take charge of my nutrition. I'm going to try and find out what I can do to help myself. Right. And they started to pray. They started to take vitamins. They started to do things and go to massage. It was the consumer. And I tell you, Joe, that even in spirituality or scientific spiritualism, maybe I can call it there, scientific spiritual living, it may be that the listeners of this radio will say, I think there's a ring of truth to this. I'm going to take this book and figure this out because the clues are there. How much more evidence do you need? You know, I take this evidence to my colleagues in medicine, but it's a hard thing because they need a new language. When I say, you need to know thermodynamics, you need to know the word coherent, you need to know what information really means. Oh, it's, you know, it's the older generation will go. They will die, and the newer generation will take it up. I have confidence in that. And I hope, Joe, that funding does come. It needs funding. It needs good research. And Tiller did this, you know, as I called it, frugal science. Frugal science. And I use those words very consciously.
But the scientific method is something that we can count on. And if he did experiments and did, you know, the variables properly and went through the whole thing, you know, then it should be, that should be enough. To me, that should be enough. Even if it is frugal, like that should, to me, every scientist should be up in arms right now, trying to figure out what's causing it.
Absolutely. You see, it's a paradigm shifting work. But here's the other thing, and I opened the book with this. Science. How do you know that this science is revolutionary? What is revolutionary? And I define, Nisha Manek says, something is revolutionary that stands the test of time. Tiller's work that shows that humans are much more capable will stand the test of time. We've only scratched the beginning. We are so asleep at the wheel. So asleep at the wheel. And that we have to wake up. We have to wake up to the power of the heart, to the power of our consciousness, to become familiar of the content of consciousness and choose wisely. That's discernment. We don't even know what is truthful anymore. I can tell you right now. Mm-hmm. And I give techniques in my book that you have to wake up. Because when I chose Tiller, I tested him out. Why would I leave Mayo Clinic and go and follow? People might say this is quackery. But I knew this man is onto something. Yeah. He is researching something deep within himself. He has integrity. He has such deep integrity, and the numbers don't lie. The data doesn't lie. And I saw it. I felt it. And then we even validated this right with the Buddha's relics. And by the way, His Holiness the Dalai Lama has the papers that I've published.
Cool.
I've given the copies to His Holiness. You know, it takes time, even at the highest level. And for me, His Holiness is a bodhisattva. He is a very high teacher. But there comes a time when man will be mature enough that, and I think this is why the relics went on tour, that there was a sense of a certain maturity had reached that humans can take this information. Because when I came into the presence of the relics, there's so much loving information. I told you, it brought me to my knees.
Yeah, you cried, didn't you? I bet, yeah.
I cried for a week. I couldn't function. I realized that I've been living a lie. This is my true identity. The identity is Buddha consciousness. Well, where does Nisha fit in? I didn't know my name. I had no interest in food. I had no interest in sleeping. I was in some, I don't know, suspension. Exquisite.
That's awesome.
I had to pray for that state to go away. I had to pray, please bring me down to where I was, because, I mean, you know, you can drop the body.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
That's Sananda. You're in such an ecstasy, you will drop the body. And I said, I want to go back to the slow momentum. I want to go to the coarser level again. I have certain responsibilities yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had to invite those thoughts back in. Okay, I couldn't drive. I had to say, how does driving happen? I mean, I had to invite these thoughts. Okay,
Yeah.
you
had to. You had to retrain your brain for a minute, don't we? Let's. That is fact. What you reached is what they call a state of enlightenment. That's pretty amazing, actually.
I had a taste of it. I had a taste of unity.
Yeah.
Non-duality. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's take this phone call here. We got 978 area code. You're on the air with Dr. Nisha Manek. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, Joe. It's the Night Stalker.
Hey,
it was a great show tonight.
What's up, Night Stalker? You got a question for the guest?
My break is almost over, so it'll be real quick. But you guys are talking about when this power of intention is going to infiltrate mainstream science.
Yeah.
And I want to offer. I think we're not there yet, obviously, but I think we're going in that direction. There's been a lot of recent studies about like the MDMA trials, and there was a recent ayahuasca one, and there was a recent study about how laughter is improving people's health. So I think right now they're still stuck on like the tangible things that are like causing changes to the body. But I think they're learning that it's not. Yeah, but so they still think it's doing something to the brain physically. But I think they're learning slowly that it's about like changing the mind, like in this case, to a more positive outlook in order to like create a positive life, to create this positive intention. That's really what the MDMA is doing, and that's really what like the laughter is doing. So right now they're kind of stuck on the substance, but I think we're getting there, and people like you, Doctor, are really moving us along. So really great show. I have to get going, but awesome stuff.
Thanks for the call. That is interesting though, what he's talking
Thank
about.
you.
Yeah, thanks, Night Stalker.
Whenever there is psychedelics and ayahuasca, I caution because it is chemically induced. Does it help you expand your consciousness? No, it does not. Okay? So that's not to say in certain hands you can't use mushrooms and all of this. And I know Johns Hopkins has got a program for people with certain diseases such as depression and PTSD. But ultimately, Joe, you and I need to do the meditation, have to do the contemplative work, as you said, the Psalms, to really ask, what are the masters saying? Where are they pointing to? And there's 10,000 pathways home. Home means to your homo spiritus self, okay? To have the unity consciousness. And I just say be careful of any substance to take you there. There's no quick fixes and shortcuts. Avoid them.
Yeah, and I think I don't mind, I guess you could say, when people take spores, if they're in like really bad depression or they have post-traumatic stress from war and things like that, if you need to take spores, in my opinion, I don't think it's that bad. But I don't. Right. But I have taken psychedelics in my life, and I can tell you that it does expand your consciousness, at least. But in what way? It's definitely not in the way of understanding, because what happens is like you start laughing about everything, and things don't make sense, even though you feel better and you do understand that you're in this construct, and you can even feel it. But you don't have any really understanding of it. You start trying to make things up, you know. But of course, I don't know. I've never done the other ones.
Emptiness to that, though. I think what you're referring to, that there is, it has to be in your bone marrow, this understanding of a loving way to be. And I suppose you get a taste of it with chemicals and all, but I think you're right. There isn't that deep understanding, okay? There is great value in waking up. People say write the gratitude journal and all of those techniques, but ultimately begin to understand, know thyself is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And I say, you know, when people say, then give me a technique, and I say, move into silence. Spend a few minutes every day, 5-10 minutes in silence. Shut the door, shut your eyes, shut your ears, sit and watch your mind. Your mind is 99% silent. You're listening and your whole attention goes into a radio in one corner of your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind is actually already naturally tranquil. You have to ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I choosing to disturb that tranquility? Because your mind is already tranquil. It can happen, boom, like that. Okay? Just quiet. So instead of all of the noise and all of the entertainment and all of the things that we're addicted to, spend a little time in silence. The biggest gift you can give yourself. And do not be afraid of silence. People are actually quite scared of it.
Oh, yeah.
Just watch your mind. Just watch it. Become familiar to your prejudices, your preferences. You're becoming aware of your own content. Once you can, now you have a chance to make a super powerful intention instead of wallowing in my red car thing. Because that's what I was doing. I thought the red car will give me happiness. But that's not where Nisha is anymore. Nisha is maturing too. And I can see the evolution that even I took. The red car is now morphed, and literally, Joe, when I wake up, I want to show up for my patients. I do telemedicine. I show up for them. I am so in there, like eye to eye, through the camera, and it's a rewarding thing that we're together in this relationship. We want to find the answer. And it's not just chemistry. I want to know what gives them meaning, what is making them feel alive. To live is to have a benevolence, That's benediction. We're looking for something out there. But to live fearlessly and with a sense of freedom, that's what a human being is, or should be.
Yeah, I totally agree. Listen, we can take this phone call, but it's got to be quick, like super fast. 905 area code. You're on the air. Who are you speaking with?
This is Kaz from Canada. Hello, Doctor and Joe.
And what's up, Kaz? You got a quick question for our guest?
I got a quick question. Okay, Doctor. So about regarding intent and manifestation, is there a framework that you could point out to us about? Okay, thought. You have a thought, and then you're worthy, and then you allow, and then you receive. Is there like a step-by-step process that you could talk about? Go ahead.
Yeah. So first of all, get clear. And that's where meditation comes. It increases coherence and reduces chaos in your own mind. Number 2, once you're clear on something, write it out. You can speak it, so you're giving it form. Write it out. Then you can read it and revise it, so you're absolutely at peace with what you've written. Then do something even greater. And this is so magical. I'm using the word magical. Write at the end of your intention, thy will be done. Not anybody else's will. You're asking divinity itself. You're giving it, you're surrendering, thy will be done. So you say, I would like a red car. I want a red car. Thy will be done. Because if you're wanting it, your attention is that it will come, but you're also offering and linking with the divine power. Okay? So get clear. Write it out. Revise it. And offer it. Surrender it. Thy will be done. Write it out.
Fantastic. And thanks for your question, Chaz. Good call. And we really got to get out of here, but do you have can you tell everybody where they can find you on the web? I know it's your website. Do you have other social media pages or anything else you want to turn our attention to before we get out of here or let you go?
Yes, I do. Okay. So I described the Buddha relics. I did an experiment, and the original scientific paper, you can get it free. I made it open access for all people who are interested. nishamanekmd.com. So my first name, last name, md.com, nishamanekmd.com. Get a copy of the book. It's so much fun. It's illustrated more than 60 of my original doodles because I'm a visual learner. They were created into publishable art. Readers have said that has been one of the funnest aspects of this book, okay? And I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. I do have Instagram too. I have a YouTube channel, but remember, I'm a doctor, so I'm always got my nose with patients, and that's where my joy lies. But you'll find me in these other, social media channels, I suppose I should call them. But I would encourage your listeners to get a copy of Bridging Science and Spirit. And the subtitle is The Genius of William A. Tiller's Physics and the Promise of Information Medicine.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the broadcast. It was really good having you here.
Hey, Joe, thank you very, very much, and have a wonderful night.
You too. You too. And that goes to you too, guys. All the listeners will have we'll have the links there in the archives and stuff too as well. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back. Well, I don't know if we'll be back tomorrow night or Christmas morning. Christmas morning, actually. 562 Live, I'll do a show or a music show for you. We'll keep you updated. Good night, y'all.